Welcome. Thanks for stopping in. We're glad you came. Please come in and find a seat. We are Forefront. We are a vehicle for God's love. Our movement is not limited by geographic boundaries. Our scope is worldwide. We aim to show people firsthand what God's love and grace feel like. We want people to see that there is a God who loves them more than they can ever know. Our methods are simple. We meet people where they are, and we show them love. We do not require bullhorns, or podiums, or grandstands. When we see a need, we go to work. Living rooms, backyards, alleys, restaurants, offices. Wherever people are hurting, we lend a helping hand, and we listen. We believe in solid foundations that families can look to for inspiration and direction. We do not play favorites or take sides. We play for the human team. We are committed to seeing lives and communities change all around the world. We are dedicated to this to the end. We will not cut and run, no matter the circumstance. When tough times arise, we hold our heads high, and we fall back on love. Again, thanks for stopping in. If there's anything we can do to help you out, please let us know before you leave. For now, enjoy the service.
We all have times when hope seems lost. When we run from our past, regrets, failures, mistakes, sins. When we feel forgotten. When God seems silent.
king above all kings. Who shakes the whole earth with holy thunder and leaves us breathless in awe and wonder. The King of glory, the King above all kings. This is amazing grace. This is unfailing love, that you would take my place, that you would bear my cross. You laid down your life, that I would be set free. Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. Who brings our chaos back into order? Who makes the orphan a son and daughter? The King of glory, the King of glory, who rules the nations with truth and justice, shines like the sun in all of its brilliance. The King of glory, the King above all kings. This is amazing grace. This is unfailing love, that you would take my place, that you would bear my cross. You would lay down your life, that I would be set free. Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy, worthy, worthy. This is amazing grace. This is unfailing love, that you would take my place, that you would bear my cross. You lay down your life, that I would be set free. Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me.
Forefront Church, it is so good to be with you guys for Easter Online. It doesn't matter where we meet, whether it's in a church building, an open bar, an art museum. We've been in a lot of places, but the church isn't a place, it's the people. It's so welcome. We are so glad that you're with us. Whether you're brand new or you've been with us for a while, this is a place for you to belong before you ever believe. And we live out to the best of our ability what it means to be, like you can see here, people helping people to find and follow Jesus. And we want to be able to help you with that and connect with you. Send us a DM, drop some comments there. Let us know where you're watching from. Take a photo of how you're doing church online with us. And over at our .info page at forefrontchurch.info, you can click that Connect tab. There's a few different ways for you to be able to connect with us because we want to be able to help you as you're moving through some of the questions that you're having, as you're learning about Jesus and worshiping with us. And if you don't hear anything else, we want you to know that you are loved. You're loved by God, you're loved by this church, and it means so much that you chose, of all the things that you could be doing inside, binge watching Netflix or Hulu, Disney Plus, chasing the kids around or sending them off to their rooms, whatever you were doing before, you chose to be here, and it means a lot to us. Because as we celebrate Easter, one of the things that is so pinnacle is that Jesus being King of all kings, came to walk alongside us and to show us that there's a way back home. And again, if you're new with us, we want you to know that there's always a beautiful invitation. And even for you guys who have been following Jesus for a while, maybe things have been rocky and rough, and as you've looked through the uncertainty of life, you've questioned how you follow him. Jesus came for this moment as we celebrate Easter to invite each and every one of us to come home.
My feet stub the end of this road, swollen in the heat of my failings. My fingers bleed from shattered dreams. My throat falters. My stomach churns on endless regrets, and words rehearse to beg my way back in. I try to grab for a sense of worth, but the air is thin. Up ahead a figure stands, and I know that I must face him. My shoulders drop, but his are lower, slumped in the weight of a child lost. His chest heaves in love's deep pain. His eyes reach to mine. Arms rise like dawn-lit wings, and now he's running, his face a song. He falls upon me, washing the squandered years in tears and kisses. He pulls me close, those walls I built, so sure, so certain within, collapse now like petals to the touch of his embrace. His words pour like summer rain, weeping those names I've so desperately sought. My child, my pleasure, my springtime bloom, my ever after returned. He holds the bruises like tender flames, holds the sorrow, holds my mistakes, takes the heartbreak, the burning shame, and draws me home.
Let's sing together, knocking away. Knocking away, wait for the walls to fall. 'Cause I know a name that will bring them down. And I've got a praise waking within my soul. I'm not Jesus destroyed them all. Up from the grave, he is with us now. Light of the world, trample the darkness, and nothing can stop it. You are the God of the promise. Every word will be accomplished, and nothing can stop it. You are the God of the promise. The gates of hell will never stand a chance. Your name prevails, Jesus, the great I am. No word will fail, no weapon formed against your name prevails, Jesus, the great I am. The gates of hell will never stand a chance. Your name prevails, Jesus, the great I am. No word will fail, no weapon formed against your name prevails, Jesus, the great I am. Light of the world, trample the darkness. Nothing can stop it. You are the God of the promise. Every word will be accomplished. Nothing can stop it. You are the God of the promise. Hey, we're so thankful to get to sing with you today. We're going to sing another song called Waymaker, and I love this song because in the bridge it says, even when I don't feel it, you're working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. And sometimes it's really hard in the mess of this world, in the mess of our lives, to see God at work. But I love this reminder that no matter where you find yourself today, no matter what you've been through, that God is still at work. He is working in our lives. Let's sing together. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are here, touching every heart. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, turning lives around. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, mending every heart. I worship you, I worship you. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. 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 You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. God, we are so thankful that you are still working, that you are still on the move, and that you are close to us even right now, God. We thank you for the gift of new life that comes through relationship with Jesus. God, we thank you for the sacrifice that you made through your son, Jesus, so that we can have that relationship with you. God, we love you so much, and we thank you for the chance to gather together. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Well, hey, Church Online, I am so glad to be with you to celebrate Easter and to look into what God has in store for you and I. You see, at the end of the day, Jesus is indeed King. He is the one that we can put our hope in, put our trust and our faith in. He is the one above all things that we are able to celebrate. And this is a day for you and I to engage and just be thankful that we have another day of life and life to the full. You see, he is writing for us a better story. This is just the beginning. And I asked on Facebook a few days ago, hey, what would you do if you could fill in the blank of how to write a better story? What would it look like for you to be able to walk through that better story for you? And I loved some of the responses. I wrote them down from tacos. If I had to fill in the blank, my story wouldn't be complete without tacos, mint chocolate chip ice cream, clowns. That's a little creepy. We're going to have to talk about that. I think we might start a support group for you guys. I saw joy, laughter. Somebody said no quarantine. I am all for that one day. I had asked my daughters and my wife, what would be your answers? If you could fill in that blank, what would your story look like? What would you write? And as they jumped in, I heard things like ninjas and pandas from one of my daughters. One of my daughters, the oldest, said money, which does not surprise me, is a tween teen. Our youngest said Hollywood. I don't know what that's all about. I think she wants to be a Disney star. My wife said give. She said, I don't want to work. I just want to have enough money to give things away. And I'm like, well, you have to be able to work to have money. But she said, no, I just want to be philanthropic. I want to give away things. And for me, I would love the ocean. I would just love to be able to be, even if we all have to be crammed into one little room, that we could walk right out of our door and just be able to be right there on the beach and celebrate the wind and the waves and the sand. And they don't seem too keen on being crammed into one room. And I totally get it. But what would you write? What would your story be? You see, I think sometimes we settle too much for a bad story. And here at our space, we have this poster that a lot of people walk through, and it has a little bit of what does it look like to have that. And I love this story that freedom starts with honesty. We aren't doing ourselves any favors by defining ourselves as good and others as bad. Let's just agree that we all are in need of help, that we're all in this together. And I love that even right now, we're all in this together, that Jesus came to reveal a God who defines us not by our actions, but by his love. You see, God has a better story for you and I. He has a story that is absolutely wonderful. But you know what? As Jesus is king, if he is truly king, we will always move in love. In a little bit, we're going to be in John chapter 20. But if you have a Bible, I would love for you to turn over to John chapter 20. But in a moment, we're going to be in John chapter 10. But here you can also, every week, get into our notes section at .info page. You can connect with us. And there's always updates on things that are happening here while this whole virus thing is going on, because we want to stay safe at home and still be able to engage in virtual groups and messages and connecting with one another. And so in a moment, we're going to be over in John 20, but I love 10 chapters back, the story of hope that we get in John chapter 10 in verse 10. The writer shares with us, "The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full." You see, the enemy tries to rob us of these things, and we settle for a lesser story. Now, I went on Amazon, and I thought, what are some horrible stories? And you may even settle for one right now in the middle of all of this uncertainty. And there's a few here that I would love to share with you. Everything I know about women, I learned from my tractor. Now, I don't own a tractor, but apparently I need to, because I have 3 girls at home and my wife, and sometimes I have no idea what's going on. But here, he learned everything that he needed to. This next one is pretty interesting. Who cares about elderly people? Right now, everybody. Because we're all staying at home to care for those that might be susceptible to getting this thing that's out there. And so this book, and you can buy this on Amazon, Who Cares for Elderly People? All of us. Right now, every single one of us care. And if you're elderly and at home, we are glad that you're watching, and we want you to stay safe and stay put there at home. This next one is interesting. How to make money in your spare time. But you can't really read this very well. It's by, and the author's name is actually their inmate number. So they weren't very good at making money in their spare time the illegal way. You may be able to learn a few things, but I don't think it's going to work out well for you. This bad story, next one, speeding mullet. It's the MacGyver of the hairstyles. And so please don't cut your hair at home during this time by yourself. Wait until a trained professional can do that for you. And while you're at home, you have plenty of time, because anybody can be cool, but awesome takes practice. Awesome takes practice. And so you can jump in during this time of quarantine, being isolated but not alone, and practice being awesome. So when we see you afterwards, you'll be a whole new person. You can reinvent yourself during this time of isolation. Not only that, but let's remember that if times even get tough, eating people is always and always will be wrong. And so make sure, email someone, let us know. We are not going to turn into cannibals during these moments. You see, I love the fact that even though there's some of those bad stories, that we can look to a more hopeful one. This Easter, as Jesus, we're reminded that he is king. You may be accepting a bad story. You may be jumping into one that, well, isn't that great? And I want to help us today to make sure that we point to what is true. You see, there was this woman by the name of Mary, and she had believed after Jesus had died, and he was buried after he had gone to the cross, and he was placed in that tomb, and it was covered up, and his body was entombed there. She believed that the story was over. She had been telling herself, a horrible one, that the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, Jesus, her friend, this one who had comforted her and all of those around her, well, that he was gone. And I love what happens as we catch up with Mary in John chapter 20, in verses 11 and following. It says, "Now Mary stood outside the tomb crying. As she wept, she bent over and went to look into the tomb and saw 2 angels in white seated where Jesus' body had been, one at the head and the other at the foot. They asked her, 'Woman, why are you crying?' 'They have taken my Lord away,' she said, 'and I don't know where they have put him.' Thought he'd just be gone, that he had been swept away. He's stolen the body. At this time, she turned around and saw Jesus standing there, but she didn't realize that it was Jesus. He asked her, 'Woman, why are you crying? Who is it that you are looking for?' he asked her. Thinking he was a gardener, she said, 'Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have put him, and I will get him." Jesus said to her, "Mary." She turned toward him and cried out in Aramaic, "Rabboni," which means teacher. She immediately knew it was him. Jesus said, "Do not hold on to me, for I have not yet ascended to my Father. Go instead to my brothers and tell them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and to your God." And Mary Magdalene went to the disciples with the good news. "I have seen the Lord," she told them. And she had told them all the things that he had said to her. You know, I love, and if you don't hear anything else, I pray that you hear this. What prompted her to go and share that news? To see Jesus in all of his glory, to see Jesus as the King? Well, she understood and realized that he brings the dead to life, that he writes a perfect story. And right now, in the middle of our plight and uncertainty, one of the things that can be so difficult is to believe that Jesus is writing a perfect story, that he can take the dead things inside of us, the hurt, the pain, the shame, the unforgiveness, the doubt, the anger, the bitterness, that he could take those dead things and make them alive. And we look around at our world and go, there's no way that he can be writing a perfect story. Well, the reality is he is. He always has been and he always will be. God is still God and God is still good, even when times are difficult. And his heart breaks with us, but he is writing a perfect story. He's leveraging every bit of this mess and he will turn it into a beautiful message for you and I. And because when Jesus is king, these things begin to transform in your life and in mine. And when Jesus is king, it changes your heart. Changes your heart to want to follow him with every part of who you are. And I'm praying specifically for you, especially if you have never made a decision for Jesus, that today would be the day as you watch this message from wherever you're at, and it may be after in an online stream and you find it in an archive, that today for you would be the day that you say, I will trust him, that I will follow him, that I will move in his mercy, in his grace, in his love, and I will take my life and put it in his hands. Jesus, yes, you are king, and I will trust you. See, when Jesus is king, it absolutely changes our heart. But not only that, when Jesus is king, it also changes our harbor, the place where we go to find solace and relief. You see, a harbor for ships, after they've been out on the sea, they come in to weather and get calm from the storm. If you've ever been here at the Chesapeake Bay and across the country on our coastlines, you'll see these places where ships will come in and get away from rough waters and get into the calm. You see, when Jesus is our king, in the mess that is going on all around us, we know that we can always come to him and find solace, relief, and hope, even when things are difficult. But not only that, when Jesus is king, well, it changes our home. You see, this world that we live in, with the brokenness and the sin and the grief and the sadness, this is not the end. Just like in that video earlier, this is not the end. That Jesus is writing a better story. That's why he is king. He writes perfect stories for you and I. He did that for us. And he takes us to a new home, that when we are rounding the bases, that we're moving through life, that when we come home, when we breathe our last breath, this is not the end. That when we follow him with every part of who we are, we surrender our lives to him and say, Jesus, you are king. You are the one that I put my trust in. He changes our destination. That every way that we move and breathe is changed by him. You see, he brings the dead to life. Every single part that has been aching inside of you. And I know because I've been there. I've been riddled with addictive moments, in battles with anxiety and with depression. Moments where I felt like ego and pride were going to rise up. And every time that those things began to take control, when I looked to the King Jesus, he changed my heart and he changed my home. He was a safe place to go when life felt messy and hard. He makes the dead come alive. And even when I don't think that he's working, like the song that we sang earlier, he writes a perfect story. There is no messing up with the pen and the strokes that happen as he's writing the story. And yes, difficulties happen. We live in a broken world where broken people do broken things. But God leverages those. He takes our world and he turns it upside down through King Jesus to change your life and bring it life to the full. Do you want to come alive today? Do you want to see his perfect story written in your life? I want us to take some moments and begin to reflect on that. You see, wherever you're watching right now, you may have been sitting there for a while as you're diving in and as you're moving into that. I want us, as we pray and as we reflect, to change our posture. You see, when we change our posture, we bring new meaning and clarity to a moment, and we focus in on what is about to happen. You see, in these moments, as we pray and reflect, I want us to take some time to hear the sounds of what transpired when Jesus was being nailed to the cross, taking your sin and my sin and our shame and saying, I am enough, because we can't do it on our own. It is only by his wounds that we are healed. And so as we get into a moment to reflect, to pray, to change our posture, that we move into it with anticipation, that Jesus says, I and you and us together take in these moments of the sounds of what transpired when you gave up your life so that we could have it to the full. That it would move us and stir us to new life in him as we pray and reflect in this moment.
Lau danes hana hayau le ahodo dat marlan ina natu mashicha bara de haleha
Anea na.
good far good far good far Eli! Lama Zaftani! Maslam.
You know, those sounds, man, those sounds they're beautiful, but they're haunting. You see, as we hear these moments unfolding, for me personally, it reminds me all of the ways that I failed and I don't deserve a king like Jesus. And yet he came anyway. He came specifically for you, specifically for me. And I can't believe it's this grace, this gift we don't deserve. And my prayer for you is that you're making decisions right now, that you're saying, I want to get baptized today. I want to reach out and I'm going to connect with someone. I'm going to go over to a DM or a comment or a page and say, today is the day that my life changes forever. I want to talk with someone. You say, I don't want to be alone in my struggles, and in my pain and in my grief, and I'm sitting home alone and I've felt more isolated than I've ever been. And I need to know that Jesus is real, and he is. And you're making decisions now to want to follow him. We want to know. So reach out to us and talk with us. You see, in a moment, we're going to celebrate that sacrifice that sets mankind free so that we could have life to the full. Many of you already came through on Saturday and picked up your at-home Easter kits. And in those were some pre-packaged communion. You can get those now. And in that is a wafer of bread and some juice. Now, there are many more of you who are celebrating Easter with us online, and you didn't have the opportunity to do that. Maybe you're in another state around the world with us today, and we would encourage you to find some bread and some juice or a cracker and some water. We believe here at Forefront Church, by the mercy and grace of God, that he cares more about the movement that we participate in than the specific emblems that we're grabbing, especially in a time where we can't go out, because my hunch is that you don't have communion just laying around in your home. But we want to take a time to pause and to take the bread, the body that was broken on that cross so that we could be free, and to take the cup, that juice, that remembrance of the blood that was shed to cover every bit of the world's sin and shame from back then to now and to the future. As we celebrate communion today, we're praying for you, that you would take a time to pause and thank him for all that he has done so that you can experience this moment of life to the full with Jesus our King.
Hey, we're going to sing one more song today, and I'd love it as we do if you'd hop in the comments, let us know what you're thinking about, if you have any questions. We're so thankful to have had the time to spend today with you, and we'd love it if you'd sing along with me. Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Speak what is true. Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Speak what is true. 'Cause I am found, I am yours, I am loved, I'm made pure, and I have life. I can breathe, I am healed, I am free. Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Speak what is true. Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Speak what is true. 'Cause you are strong, you are sure, you are light, you endure, you are good, always true, you are light, breaking through. Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Speak what is true. Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Speak what is true.
Well, church online, it is so exciting to be able to celebrate Easter together. And I'm glad that we get to invite you out to multiple experiences. Not only will this be on demand, but we have multiple services throughout our Sunday Easter experience. And remember, we want to be able to connect with you. Let us know how we can help you in your journey with God. Head over to that .info page. Let us know where you're watching from. Take a photo of yourself as you're celebrating Easter online with us today. And just being able to, oh boy, just being able to enjoy being together. You see, we are the church. It is not a place that we're at. It is being together as people who find and follow Jesus. And we want to make sure that you know that each and every week at 10 a.m. online, you can enjoy and gather together to be strengthened, encouraged, and challenged in your faith in asking these tough questions. You see, we're going to be jumping in to a brand new series where we're going to look at some people who were fairly rejected by society. And what does it mean to look at some people that, well, they don't fit into the mold, much like our ragtag bunch of misfits who call themselves people who are a part of Forefront Church. We are thankful for you. This Easter, as we celebrate, remember, God is not done. What he did before, he'll do again. Jesus, his son, is alive, and he makes dead things live. He's writing a perfect story for you. He is still king. We'll see you next time.